LSU versus Texas A&M. This game, whoever wins it is going to be in first place in the SEC. Right now, both of these teams are the only unbeaten teams in SEC conference play. Whoever wins is going to be the front runner to make it to the SEC championship in December. You got a 6-1 Texas A&M team that ever since they lost week 1 to Notre Dame, they've been playing some of their best football. Connor Wigman has gotten healthy. And LSU on the other side, they've been one of those teams that you don't really know how good they are. You know they are a good team, but how good are they? Are they a playoff team? Are they good enough to win the SEC this year? Are they good enough to compete for the national championship? Because LSU is one of the few teams in college football where I don't really know what their identity is. Okay, offensively, you know that they love to sling the rock with Garrett Nussmeier, but Garrett Nussmeier has games where he looks spectacular. The dude is really phenomenal at throwing the deep ball, but he also has games where he struggles to take care of the pigskin. And both of these two quarterbacks, whoever has the better game, gives their team the best chance to win. Because if Garrett Nussmeier has one of those games where he has like 2 or 3 turnovers, LSU is going to be in trouble. Because Texas A&M is one of those teams that you don't want to turn the football over against them, because they're going to make you pay, because they're going to be able to turn those turnovers into points. And you also got an A&M defense that is really stingy. They got a really good defensive line. They got a really good front seven, but their secondary has been inconsistent this year, right? And for Garrett Nussmeier, you love the matchup between your receivers versus Texas A&M's defensive backs. But at the same time, this is still a defense that is more than capable of being able to come away with a few turnovers. And for Connor Wigman, you know, last week against Mississippi State, you didn't look so hot. Now, you were looking great against Missouri when you took them to Pound Town, but you've been relatively up and down this year. And both of these quarterbacks, Garrett Nussmeier has been the better of the two, but they both got a lot to prove in this game. And whoever plays the better of the two most likely gives their team the win in this game, because I think that quarterback play in this game is everything. Texas A&M, they're more balanced than what LSU is. LSU, they've had their fair share of struggles being able to get their rushing attack going, but Texas A&M, they've been one of the better teams at running the football in the SEC this year. They got a lot of depth at running back. They got Emmitt Smith's son as well. So if this becomes a game where LSU takes away the run game from A&M and they force them to have to win it via Connor Wigman's arm, I like Garrett Nussmeier and LSU to get the win. However, if Texas A&M can have success on the ground and throwing the football like they did against Missouri, then Texas A&M is going to make this a dogfight. And what's surprising is that A&M is only a 2.5-point favorite in this game, although you would think that LSU has the better team. But A&M, their defense is more talented than what LSU's defense is. And they also are more well coached. However, offensively, LSU has more firepower than what A&M has. This is going to be one of those games where, you know, if A&M's offense gets a little bit wonky to start off and LSU starts out fast early like how they did against Arkansas, and A&M has to come from behind, LSU probably walks away with the win. I don't see A&M as being the team that is equipped that have to win games when they're trailing. They are a team that they want the game to be close or relatively close, where they give themselves a fighter's chance to win it, or they just run all over you and they take the lead themselves and they're playing up. But if they got to play from behind, then you force them to have to change a little bit of what they like to do, because regardless, you know that LSU can win this thing if they have to rely solely on the arm of Garrett Nussmeier. Can't say the thing about Connor Wigman. Now, I love LSU secondary in this game. I do think that their secondary has tremendously improved throughout this season since week 1 against USC. However, their run defense is not as good as what the statistics show. The statistics show that LSU has a top 30 run defense, but if you watch them against South Carolina and Ole Miss, they've been gashed on the ground. They gave up a 50-something yard run for a touchdown against Ole Miss. Rocket Sanders had some explosive runs against them as well in that game. Texas A&M is 24th in rushing yards per game allowed. They're averaging nearly 200 rushing yards per game at 199.5. And if A&M can control the ground game, they can keep LSU's offense off the field, especially with LSU's tendency to struggle in the red zone and they struggle with ball security. They can really make LSU pay in this game. Because if LSU's run defense looks the way that they did against Ole Miss and South Carolina, they're going to be in trouble because Texas A&M is one of those teams where if the run game's working early, they're going to keep running that thing all down your throat for the entirety of this game, and it's going to help them win that time of possession battle. And for LSU, when you can't stop the run and you can keep that offense off the field, you got a great chance to beat them. This is a team in LSU that they're a high-flying team. They can score 30 on you with ease, but if you can run that football, you can play a keep-away game with them, and you can get some other things to go your way, like South Carolina had some mistakes, and they just weren't able to capitalize off them because of the special teams era, and the refs wasn't really on their side neither. And I look back at that South Carolina game, and I remember the amount of trouble that the Gamecocks gave LSU in that game with how well their defense was playing, the fact that special teams was also doing their thing, and their run game was getting activated. I could see Texas A&M having success against this LSU team the same way South Carolina was. But Ole Miss, even though they had success on the ground against LSU, they lost that game because ultimately LSU's pass defense did a really good job against Jackson Dart and that passing attack. Do you have enough horses at wide receiver if you're A&M, which has kind of been your Achilles heel this year? You don't really have a lot of dynamic wide receivers. So LSU and Texas A&M, you have a matchup of two teams that have different styles. A&M, they want to win the football, really running the ball, or they want to win the game just pounding the rock, but they also want to mix in the pass as well. But LSU, they really just want to sling the football all over your defense. And with how lackluster Texas A&M's secondary has been, you got to have the confidence that Garrett Nussmeier's going to have a good game. However, even with Garrett Nussmeier having a good game, I still don't think it will be enough to beat Texas A&M at home in Aggieland. We know how hard it is to win in College Station. We know that this is one of the best environments in all of college football. And also, Texas A&M, when they lost to Notre Dame week 1, they didn't get healthy quarterback play out of Connor Wigman because he was banged up in that game. With Connor Wigman being more healthier now, I do think that you don't need to rely on him to win this game like how LSU's relying on Garrett Nussmeier to win it for them. You're going to be able to play a balanced brand of football due to the struggles that LSU's run defense has had this year, which is why I love Texas A&M to win. I like them because their run game can keep LSU's offense off the field, and plus, I believe that Texas A&M probably comes away with 2 turnovers in this game due to Garrett Nussmeier's tendency to be a little bit careless with the football. He can be a little bit reckless at times, a little bit more aggressive than what you like, and that's why I love A&M to win this game, improve to 7-1, and take over as the top team in the SEC, at least from a record standpoint, because the winner of this game takes first place in this conference. So give me Texas A&M to win. 24-17 is going to be my final score prediction for this game.